Hey everybody, Rorree here. I am back. Okay, so we are doing a 14-day challenge where we will be working on keeping our vibrations high for 14 days. And hopefully we can continue even after the 14 days, But anyway, this is a very auspicious time on this planet, and it is a wonderful time to raise your vibration. So I know y'all hear me talking about this all the time. Raise your vibrations, raise your frequency, right? And everything that I teach is about doing just that, working on yourself to raise the vibration, okay? So that's what we're doing right now. So we are using the four agreements oracle cards. That's what we're using for this 14 days of raising our vibes. And I'm picking out a card and sharing with you the card, and then sharing some tips and pointers that I might have to add to keeping us elevated, keeping our frequency raised. Those of you, some of you might know, some of you may not know, but we have a community called Roses, Lavender, and Sage. And in there, we do just this. We talk about different things. We do classes together, workshops together, and I teach different things, but it's a more intimate setting. So come on and join us over there. You can look in the description box or look at my link tree and go to Roses, Lavender, and Sage so you can see how you can become a part of that community. But anyway, the agreement that we are going to talk about is don't take anything personally. So we've had a few of these. Don't take anything personally. And this one says, embrace your freedom. And I just got these today, so I have not read these before. So whatever you get, this is my first time reading this. So I'm going to give you whatever comes to me. So embrace your freedom. And it's so cute. It's two little birds hugging up on one another. And they're two different types of birds, it looks like. One is blue and one is reddish orangish color. And they are just saying, yeah, we here. We might be different, but whatever, So anyway, embrace your freedom. Embrace your freedom. So this is what the card looks like. All right. So it says, I'll just pull it back so I don't have to read from such a far place. Okay. You gain a huge amount of freedom when you take nothing personally. No spell can affect you regardless of how strong it may be. And if you live without fear, if you love, you will be happy with your life. Wow, that was good. And that was a lot. So let's break it down. Let's break it down. Okay, so embrace your freedom. All right. You gain a huge amount of freedom when you take nothing personally. We have talked about that, just in case you have missed some of them. What I have said is sometimes that's not the easiest thing to do, not to take things personally. It's important to definitely check yourselves so that you don't dive into responding or reacting to something that someone may say or do. And it's also important to look at the other person's point of view as to why they may have responded the way they may have responded, or reacted or what have you, before you dive into getting all angry and upset and lowering your vibration, because we are focused on raising our vibration and keeping that frequency high. So it's a good idea to not take anything personally. But it's not always the easiest thing to do. So I definitely would say look at some of the other videos that we've done earlier in this week and see, if you got some pointers from those on how to not take things personally. Okay. No spell can affect you regardless of how strong it might be. Now, this is interesting because I actually dated somebody who got spelled by somebody else who wanted him. And she kept spelling, right? And the spelling was causing issues in the relationship. However, it wasn't making us part. And it wasn't until I decided I don't want this anymore. Like, I'm done. I'm good. And then, you know, things were severed. But it was kind of like I made a conscious choice. I made a decision. I'm not dealing with this crap anymore. Like, no. And it wasn't even about her because I didn't even know there was a her. I think I might have had some feelings, but but later when I dug more into it intuitively, and I actually got some assistance, I recognized that there was someone else. And then when I started doing a lot of reading on the situation, I was able to see what was really going on. And then when we spoke about it a couple of years later, that's when he admitted that he might have been, well, the way he said it was, yeah, probably was like that lackadaisically. Like, okay. But what he didn't realize was that she was spelling him the whole time to get him to leave me. And it didn't work. What it did cause issues in the relationship. It did do that. It really did. Um, I feel like it helped to break up the relationship, but I felt like it was my final decision, which broke up the relationship. Would it have broken up anyway if I didn't make that decision? Probably, yes. Because I really wasn't feeling good. And I feel like I'm really good by myself. Like, I am a happy being by myself. So why would I be with someone and I'm not a happy being? You know what I mean? Like, that makes you question yourself, like, what am I doing this for? So it would have eventually broken up even if it didn't happen at that particular moment. All right. So I fully agree with this. Like, no spell can affect you regardless of how strong it can be. So sometimes a spell can affect you. That's how I feel. And sometimes it might not. And there was another time, there was another person, and he was being spelled, and I released the spells from the person. And no sooner than I would release a spell, a young lady will put another spell back on this person. So I got it to the point where this person was free to think for himself, because to me, it's not fair for somebody to put a spell over you to make you want them. Like, that's just wacky. Like, why do you want to put a spell on someone to make them want you? Like, I don't know. That's like forcing someone to do something that they wouldn't naturally do. I just disagree with that. Um, but what I noticed is that was after the person had their mind, and they could do what they want to do, they still chose that. And so I was just like, so was it the spell that was really going on there? Or was it you making a conscious decision? Even if it was an unconscious decision, a part of you wanted to do that. So anyway, with spelling people to want you, I really don't think that's a good idea, because you could actually end up with like an empty relationship. You know what I mean? Because after all of the superficial stuff, all the sex and all the lust and all that, after all of that is like over, like, what do you have if the person didn't even like you or want you in the first place? Especially ladies, if you're spelling men, like, you really want the men to want you. You know what I'm saying? Because if whatever spelling you're doing wears off, like, what are you left with? Somebody that didn't really want you in the first place. So that's just how I feel about that. And that's just my opinion. And my name is Rorree, and your name is whatever it is. Hey, all right. So let's go back here. All right. So the next part of this is, and if you live without fear, wait a minute. And if you live without fear, If you love, you will be happy with your life. I like that, because fear is false evidence appearing real. And I know you've all heard that, but do you still find yourself being fearful of things? You know, if you do still find yourself being fearful of things, you might just have to talk yourself through how it really is false evidence appearing real. I work with my daughter, and sometimes she gets all up in her head about this or that, and I'm just like, I don't know the actual statistic, but I said, think about some of the things that you have worried about, and think about how many of them actually happen. Most of the stuff we worry about never freaking happens. So what the hell are we worried for? I'm just saying. You might as well spend your time, instead of worrying about something, manifesting what you do want. Using your words, using what you got, using your energy, using your frequency to create and manifest what you do desire, versus putting all of this energy on something that you don't desire. So that's how I feel about that. I kind of like this card. It's a lot. This is a loaded card. Embrace your freedom. Embrace your freedom. You gain a huge amount of freedom when you take nothing personally. So that's the first thing. Don't take anything personally. Everyone has their opinion, and it is what it is. Sometimes people give their opinions and they might hurt your feelings. Some of the things you can do so that people's opinions and stuff like that don't bother you as much is you can look at yourself as an individual and make sure that you understand that they are an individual too, and you can agree to disagree. You're going to have different opinions. You have different value systems. You've had different journeys, different lives. You have different souls. You've got different parents. You've got, you know what I'm saying? You had a different reason why you came into this body, why you incarnated in the first place. Your soul's journey is different than the next person's soul's journey. You might have a collective, like a soul group that you came into this existence with, but that doesn't mean that everybody is supposed to be at the same place at the same time, feeling and thinking and breathing the same things, So just talk yourself through things when you feel like you're getting your feelings are feeling hurt or whatever. Like, talk yourself through it. Ask yourself, okay, why am I feeling hurt? Okay, so why is that hurting my feelings that this person said XYZ? Is there something about that I believe? If I do I like that? If I don't like that, then what can I do to fix that? What can I do to change that? Like, I tend to turn things inward and work on myself, you know what I mean, versus poking holes in you, because what I've realized through my journeys is that I can only work on myself. Because that's the only person I have dominion over. I have responsibility over this vessel, this being, right? I can't control somebody that I date, or that I work with, or that I work for, or that whatever. I cannot control some other being. I can only control myself. I could give advice out the yin yang, but it could be rejected. It might not be in alignment with you because it's mine. It's in alignment with me. So if you don't agree with everything I say, that's fine. Shit, I might never agree with what I say 10 years from now. I might have elevated and be on the total different train of thought, because I have grown. You know what I mean? I have grown. I continue to grow. I continue to become more and more enlightened, and I learn. So anyway, okay, so putting up your protection shield is a great way to help you to stop taking things so personally, so you can keep the energy of the person staying out here, so that the energy of what they're saying is not coming in, and maybe what they're saying is all it is that you're hearing, versus hearing the energy of it. Because sometimes it's the energy of what someone's saying that really bothers you more than what they said. You've heard people say, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. And like, have you ever like been in the middle of something and then had to shift gears gears, but that's something that you were in the middle of is still right there. And now you switch gears and they're feeling whatever you were in the middle of. Well, hello. So and now this person over here is taking all that personally when it really only had to do with something that was over on this side. So for real, you may want, instead of getting all bent out of shape and taking everything personally, ask a question. You know what I mean? So you could be like, well, I feel like you're saying this, the way I'm receiving it feels a little bit like this. Is that how you're meaning for me to receive it? Ask a damn question. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just assuming, well, I'm feeling this and I don't like this and da 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 da. You know what I mean? Like, and you could be all loud and wrong. For real, for real. You should ask a question. Ask, I'm feeling some kind of way. Is this how you're feeling? Don't accuse. I'm feeling some kind of way. What's your problem? Don't accuse. Ask a question. Is there something going on? Like, I'm feeling like this. This is what I'm feeling. And I'm feeling this maybe in response to what you're saying. So is this what you're meaning? Ask a question. Because the other thing is, nobody likes to be told how they feel. Like, how the hell you gonna tell me how I feel? Because my name is the only one that's named Rorree. This is Rorree. You know what I'm saying? So how Sally gonna tell Rorree how she feel? Like, what the fuck? Who does that? Like, how you gonna tell me how I feel? Unless you are reading me intuitively, but you still should, you still don't have to show up like that. Like if it's in a conversation, okay? Now, if I'm going to an intuitive reader and you're saying, well, it looks like you're feeling like this, like you could still ask, is that how you're feeling? You know what I mean? Like, don't tell somebody how they feel. For me, that's a pet peeve of mine when somebody tries to tell me how I feel. I just don't understand. How you telling me how I feel? You can ask me. Going all over the place with this, but anyway, I'm sure y'all are hearing me. Whoever that was meant for, that was meant for. Okay, so embrace your freedom. And this is under don't take anything personally. So you gain a huge amount of freedom when you take nothing personally. And you really do, because you are just free to be yourself and not be concerned and worried and bogged down with everything that's going on all around you, because everything ain't always about you. For real. Okay, no spells can affect you regardless of how strong it may be. So you can rebuke all of that. Okay, it does not have to affect you unless you say, I want to be affected by that. You know what I mean? But you can put up your 12D shield and be like, psh, ain't nothing coming up in hell. You know what I mean? I am not allowing no spell to affect me, if that's what you choose to do with your shielding of your protection of your space. For me, you need to be coming from a place of pure love. You're not coming from a place of pure love, you can't get up in here. Okay? Because I done had enough, being a healer, being an empath, you attract all types. And most of the time you attract somebody that needs the healing. Okay? But for real, if you're not coming from a place of pure love, I am not interested, because it's too much stuff on this planet. It's too much vibrating at all different levels that are not coming from a place of pure love. I am just being quite honest. It's a lot of people coming from other nefarious places, and you're not welcome here. You know what I mean? So whatever. You do what you have to do for yourself, for your protection, for your 12D shielding, for your grounding, for your protection, whatever you use to protect your aura. Back in the day, I used to protect my space with a hedge of roses, because they say hedge of protection. So since I use roses for a lot of my protection and in a lot of my work, since I use roses a lot, meaning spiritual roses, not physical roses, but I do use physical roses too now. Like, I like to burn them and I wear it. But anyway, every time I digress, I'll be like, what the hell was I talking about? Okay, so anyway, what was I talking about? Protecting yourself. I used to use a hedge of protection. Okay, so I used to use a hedge of protection to protect myself. And it was so funny because I would put this like wall of roses. Have you seen a hedge of roses? So envision a hedge of roses all around me. Or if I wanted to release energy, sometimes I would take a hedge of roses, and let's say I wanted to release a whole lot of something, right? I would like take a hedge of roses and like blow it all up like with a machine gun. So that would be a way that I would release other people's energy. And that's a lot how that's a good way, not necessarily getting a bunch of roses and blowing them up with a machine gun, but creating and destroying roses as you're having a conversation is a good way to not take things personally, because you are releasing the energy of that situation as the situation is evolving, you know. And I say these things, but these are things I practice for myself as well. And I am not perfect. I will, you know, sometimes I let stuff in and I'll be like, oh Lord, then I just have to clean it out. That's all, you know. But if you let too much stuff in before you clean anything out, then you start evolving into a different being, and it will be a being that vibrates a little lower. So anyway, create and destroy some roses during conversations. I remember back in the day when I used to teach this, and I used to teach it live all the time. We had classes several times a week. And every time, like after the class, people would stay afterwards. After we would lecture on different things, people would stay afterwards to do like the healing work and the meditation, stuff like that with me. And I would teach them to blow roses. So, you know, I do things with my hand. I create the rose, I blow it up, create the rose, I blow it up, right? And so I had so many people doing like this. It would be so funny. And the onlooker wouldn't know what the hell you were doing. And you could do it so inconspicuously because you could be doing it in your lap. So you having a conversation, you can see the imaginary screen out in front of you. And now you're creating roses on that screen and you're blowing them up. You can do that with your eyes open. You know, when I first started learning, I was doing it with my eyes closed, but then I started being able to do that with my eyes open. And let's see, the spell one. Okay, so I don't know. No spell can affect you regardless of how strong it is. I don't know about that. I still tend to believe that some spells do work. I do. I do tend to believe that some of them work. I'm just be honest. I don't know that no spell, because I don't like the word no, because no is finite. No means never. And that's just not true, because some spells can affect you. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm iffy on that one. But other than that, I think I like this one. Embrace your freedom. All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Use some of these tips, use some of the stories. Remember them whenever you feel like you might be going low to bar, below the bar, and feeling kind of funky or whatever. Use some of the things that I say to help raise your vibration, even if it's just taking some deep breaths, creating and destroying some roses, grounding and releasing. You can ground and release. Some people envision like a toilet, and you flushing the toilet and you're releasing the energy of the situation. When you hit the flip, you know, you flush the toilet, or those toilets that have a thing you push on top of the toilet, you know, you push and it flushes, and you flushing the energy away. You can inhale, exhale, and on the exhale, you could be releasing whatever toxic energy or whatever you're trying to release from the situation. What else? You could laugh. You could laugh. Watch something funny. You know, tell yourself a laugh. Make yourself laugh or something like that. You can hold a natural stone or something like that. You can wand yourself down. I have a wand right here that I keep near my computer. Sometimes I keep selenite near electronic devices, but this is a piece of selenite. I keep it near my computer. You could wand yourself down. You know, you could, you always pray over your device, your you know, stones and stuff like that. You can clean them however you clean your stuff. We're not doing a cleaning class today, but you can actually take a wand like this. You can act like this is a wand, and you can wand yourself down, just like you might be brushing yourself. You can see yourself out on that imaginary screen and take your wand and wand down all the energy from that imaginary screen. Okay. I remember I took this class called Pranic Healing. I took a Pranic Healing class. This is after I spent 6 years at the Institute learning about intuition and all that good stuff. And I took this Pranic Healing. I took like all their classes actually. And what I learned was like they actually put like a textbook to the stuff that I had already learned in the kindergarten space. And some of the stuff I just knew, just, I don't know. But one of the things that I did pick up from them was getting natural stones and wands and using them in my healing practice. And in one of the classes that we did, we actually used a wand. You know, it didn't look like this. It actually looked like a wand. But we cleared the energy from people using a wand like this. So anyway, so there are so many different little things that you can do to keep your vibrations vibrating high or to raise your vibration. But definitely, whatever you do, embrace your freedom and have a wonderful day. Ashe.